So in this video, I'm going to be finding out for not only myself, but for you guys, how valuable coaching actually is on a sim racing game. So here's how I'm going to calculate how valuable this session was for me personally. How much time I was able to gain in the session and how much confidence I was able to gain thanks to the person's teachings, how much tips they were able to give me that I didn't know previously, and lastly, how much detail was actually provided within this session. So by detail, I'm talking about data and all of that sort of stuff. So before we actually get into the session and I start talking about my thoughts on the entire experience, I'd like to thank SRC for helping out with this video. So with all of that out of the way, let's get into the hot laps that I did for the session, and then we can start talking about the session itself. So taking a look at the best lap that I managed to get in a session I did before the coaching session, I believe this was maybe about 2 or 3 days before I actually had the session. And yeah, I actually struggled quite a lot to get used to the track. I did see a sort of guide based on LFM, which is an ACC sort of community ran thing where you can compete against people of your skill level. And I saw a guide from there on how to do this track, not necessarily with this car, it was with an Audi I think, but I took some of those tips and tried to apply it with the Porsche 911, and I struggled quite a lot. I'm thinking it's mainly just because I didn't really know how to drive the car versus more say the track itself. But you can see now I'm just again applying that knowledge that I learned from the guide, and you can see sort of my F122 style driving peeking through some of the corners with how I'm taking it and how I'm braking as well, which obviously on ACC isn't necessarily the best thing to do. ACC is more based on the actual physics of the car and the track and how they combine together, whereas F1 is not really as physics based as this one. But yeah, this lap was pretty much not the limit for me, but this was pretty much, you know, almost there in what I could do, you know, at the time. So a solid lap for me there, but obviously there's a lot of time left on the table, and we'll take a look at my coach's lap time that he managed to get after the session as well, just so you can see the difference between what I was doing before the session and what he's capable of doing. So we cross the line and we do a 1 minute 32.5, so that's our benchmark there. Now here is our coach's lap that he managed to get for us. I believe this was after the session. Yeah, this would have been after the session. So he managed to get an actual proper lap in. And you can see the difference here. The first corner, he's in third gear, whereas I was in second. And you'll just see just how much more of the track that he's able to use, how much more speed that he's able to carry around the corners as well, just compared to what I'm doing as well. And this is definitely more, say, on the limit of probably what you could do around this track. Maybe it's not, I don't exactly know what the fastest times around this circuit is with the Porsche, but yeah, this is probably, you know, very, very close to what you could probably do on the limit. And just look how much curb he takes here compared to me. I just absolutely sends it over those curbs there, and yeah, I just was not comfortable really doing that, even though I saw in the guide that that's what you were supposed to do. And you can see that, you know, going through all the corners, he's breaking the straight line, turning once the car is actually slowed down. He's also, you know, using every single inch of the track as well. And obviously those are things that I know to do, but you know, when you hop on ACC and you don't really necessarily know how the car handles and, you know, what you're really supposed to be doing with each individual track, it can get quite overwhelming at times. So yeah, seeing this now, you know, there's a lot of potential for me even now of how I can improve. But yeah, you know, you can see that this coaching session was pretty good, and I hope that you guys do enjoy the session now. As he goes around the final couple of corners, he ends up doing, I believe, a 128.9, so a massive difference there.
Yeah, you joined right. I guess you said already you drove some years like yesterday.
Yeah, I did like the hot synth thing.
Yeah, did you found yourself something you want to improve on, like racing line wise or braking?
Yeah,
Or...
based on what I was watching back, pretty much everything. I was a lot worse than I remembered when I was driving last night. So yeah, just general lines, braking points, weight transfer, how to like really carry a lot of speed in the corners. I was struggling with that quite a lot.
All right. Then I guess maybe just drive some laps like 3 or 4 or something, that I have like an overview of it, and I guess we
Okay.
can then have a short review about yeah, the
Should I
major
use
mistakes.
the aggressive preset or
Aggressive
just?
preset should be the best work in general, so yeah, can use it for sure.
I will say this section is probably where I struggled the most last night.
Yeah, it's actually like one of the most difficult ones in ACC, because you have to be so precisely, and you will see that it actually is a bit confusing, because you literally can like cut double check there to be really fast.
The entire thing, okay.
Yeah, not the entire thing completely, but you mostly just have like one tire on the track all the time or something. It's
Okay.
pretty disgusting if you really hit it. But to be really honest, your line doesn't look that bad for the start. We can really work on that. It looks like mainly just throttle and brake inputs on the right point, where we can just have a fine tuning on. I mean, for sure, like in this corner, but it's like not that
It's not the
user
worst that you've
friendly.
seen.
Yeah, like you wouldn't think of the line if you wouldn't have seen it. It's just, yeah, the line is a bit weird, but it's like on Zelda you really just go like yeet it or lose it, and
Okay.
it's a bit of 50-50 coin flip racing there.
Right, so lines were not too bad, but the brake and throttle were the weak points, you were saying.
Yeah, mainly that's the thing we can easily work on, because it's like just more getting used to it probably.
So this was the part of the session where we sat down and actually looked through the laps that I had done just now. And yeah, he was basically just running me through each lap, telling me places where I did quite well, and then places where, there was definitely room for improvement. And it was nice to actually be, the one on the opposite side, because usually I'm the one doing the track guides, I'm the one helping you guys out. So it was nice to actually be on the side where I was getting helped out. And you do have to drive these cars a lot differently to how you would on F122, for example, just because it has a lot less downforce, it's a lot heavier as well, and again, it's a completely different game where they do focus more on the actual physics of things versus the just the playability of it, I guess, for casual players. And they've recently done a massive update as well to this game, as just to increase that physics level even more, especially with the tires and the suspension and stuff like that, from what I understand. So it was really good to just go through those laps with someone who has a lot of skill in this game, and be able to see those glaring issues that otherwise I just wouldn't have been able to see myself unless I drove a couple hundred laps.
And a straighter car to get it better accelerated without too many traction losses.
So should I follow the darkened patch but more towards the right hand side, is what you're saying?
Exactly, like
So you see how the
I
car's
will
on.
probably like turn in like here.
Okay.
So I would stay like more to the straight here and then turn in to get it more rounds.
Okay.
This is also pretty important in ACC. If you brake and steer, you will probably lose some ground to the guy who will brake straight and then turn
And then
in,
turn. Okay.
because it will affect your grip, let's say it in an easy way.
So pretty much after that, we just continued to look through my laps, and we actually took so long that this session ended and had restarted by the time we had finished. But once we had finished looking through all my laps, I decided to go out again to see if I can actually translate what I've just learnt onto the track.
You might just can change the brake bias, as you said, that you feel not that safe. But yeah, I guess like 55 should be doing it for sure.
Okay.
Maybe, yeah. Just let's see how the TC will behave, but I guess we may have to higher it a bit probably. If you want to, you can also try to use TC 50 or 60, which is like the most accurate you go in the Porsche.
Sorry, you use TC50.
Like TC1 on 5 and TC2 on 0. Like in ACC, it's a bit of yeah, physics pasta, I would say.
Oh, I didn't even
you
know
really
there was
don't want to
two.
have TC2, because this is literally just compromising everything.
Okay, yeah, I didn't even notice there was two different settings. I'll have to try and figure out how I change that in a second.
So basically, what the idea of TC1, TC2 was, TC2 is like strength of it when it like should be. TC1 is when it has to use a TC, and
Yeah.
TC2 says how much it will use it. So
Okay.
TC2 on 0 might say it does use nothing of TC, but it actually does use it, and it actually better than every other TC setting.
Oh.
That's why
Yeah. I had no idea about that.
you
In
go
all
on
honesty.
that like in every car, I guess. Yeah, just a bit too late there, but you will see if you just try to get, yeah, that looks totally fine. Maybe it's even possible in third gear, but that will be like perfect hit probably.
Oh, rear's kicked out on me again.
That's the moment where the rear height just played a big factor. You went off throttle. That will kick your front down a bit and your rear up, which will increase the aerodynamic turn-in. And that was just what happened. You had way too much turn-in, losing the car on the rears, because the rear had like not that much force on it. What's even good on braking, you will try to use as much as engine braking as you can do. So you just try to really stomp the downshift protection as much as you can to use the gears to brake yourself as well. So just shifting down as early as possible will increase your braking performance. What actually helps when you try to hit bumps in ACC, just don't hit the throttle at all or don't hit the brake. Just try to coast over bumps, because this will stabilize your car. Also a thing which is not really realistic, but physics just allow it. For example, this trick will also play a big factor in Imola, because Imola with the chicanes has a lot of potential with bumps.
Oh, I see what you mean about keeping the car a little bit more straight there.
Yeah, try to not hit the grass there, because that will lose your pressures. But yeah, try to use the curb as much as you can and go through a straight line as much as possible. Maybe also an important note, now that you've seen a lot of potential in braking, try to not overcook it. Try to find the limit from the lowest part to the limit, not from above. Because if you try to brake too late and then go to the limit, which will be much harder, because you will just, yeah, overshoot the corner all the time. And if you are just like close to the limit but slowly under it, you will see like, okay, I can brake a meter later now, and you will be much easier close to the limit if you try it from the lower part. So try not to overcook it for the first laps maybe, and brake a bit too early than we would thought you can go. But you will see from yourself, okay, I can just brake 2 meters later, 3 meters later all the time, and be more dynamically on that side maybe. I guess this time it was actually just braking a bit too late, probably. But yeah, it's, I guess, Koha, like that. Maybe try to really lower the rear a bit by like 2 or 3 clicks. That should be saving your aerodynamics
How do I
much.
do that?
Should be in the setup just the last tab.
Arrow.
Yeah, it says arrow, and the ride height on the rear should be on 68 probably.
Yeah,
And you
68
just
millimeter.
can do it to 65. That should be already doing much of the magic. And maybe on electronics side, you can take the TC to 5 and the TC2 to 0 or 60 or something. That should be quite good for the start.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, setup wise, it's actually pretty important to have like the basics on it. It's not really important to finalize the arrow, the mechanical grip or something, but it's important to have like good electronic settings for yourself that you feel confident in.
Yeah.
And maybe just like that ride height thing is quite helpful, because it's called actually rake, the difference between front and rear heights. The rake is a quite big factor in ACC, so that helps you a lot getting safer, just lowering the rears. like having just that two factors in mind just already helps you a lot in setups. And also you will see in the time, like on these two factors you will probably gain the most time you can get in setups. Just having good electronics and a bit of better aero.
Yeah, because the AC stuff, when it came to the setup and stuff, yeah, that I never looked into it because it was too overwhelming.
Yeah, it's just so much without having any knowledge. It's quite hard to get used to it. That's why just really try to stick to electronics and maybe that rake thingy, but that's not even necessary as well. Electronics will already have the biggest influence in setups for the start.
I think I'll try to give it 2 more goes.
Yellow flag, be careful there.
Nice lap, mate.
That was definitely my best
Pretty
lap.
good.
I'm happy with that. You know what? And now I think I'll leave it there. That was, yeah, that felt really good.
Definitely, mate. You really made it together. Yeah, turn 1 looked pretty clean. Maybe a bit later turn in to have the better exit, but
Yeah.
other than that, it looked very fine. The next turn was completely fine. Yeah, actually, I don't have to really cry about many things in that lap. It looked pretty clean. Maybe the chicane where the bump is that massive. Just a bit later turn in that you don't have to cut the right side too much, but the left a bit more.
Yeah, okay.
So the later apex for the left hander there. But actually, other than that, the lap looked quite good for the start.
So now we move roughly about a day and a half after the session, and my oh my, the difference. I just decided to run some more laps just to see if I could actually improve on the time and try and get the lap right, because obviously during the session, as you just seen, I didn't get it exactly right like how I wanted to, and this session was just so much better than the first one. I had so much more confidence going around the track. Now don't get me wrong, there's still a lot of mistakes in this lap and there's a lot of potential in this lap as well. If you compare this lap to the one I showed you at the beginning of the coach, you'll see that there are some still some glaring differences between what I was able to do and what he's able to do. So yeah, again, these sort of things, they do take time, and one session just really isn't enough for all of this, to learn all of this and really have it sink in and to be able to pull better lap times. But you can see how much more curb I was trying to take this time versus, you know, even before the session where we basically tried not to take any curb at all. And this section, this tricky section as well, you can see much more confidence through there than I did beforehand, you know, actually riding over the curbs and actually, you know, maximizing the lap as much as we can here. We did go wide there, but again, you know, there's still some glaring issues throughout the lap and throughout my driving on this game as a whole as well. So, you know, not everything's perfect, but I think that, you know, if I do end up having another couple sessions with him or with someone else, or if I just put in the lap times, I guess, myself, that I'll be able to do it. But this is where coaching becomes quite valuable, just because, you know, sometimes you just don't really have that time to put the, you know, the hundreds of laps in, whereas, you know, you can just have someone see your laps and tell you, you know, where you're going wrong. And this lap ended up being a 30.5 1.4, which is absolutely crazy. 2 seconds gained. So there you have it, guys. That was pretty much how the session went. It was an amazing experience and I did enjoy myself with that one. So now we're actually going to talk about how much value that was to me, and just in general, how much value can you actually get from coaching in sim racing. So for the first point, how much time I was able to gain and how much confidence I was able to gain at the track and with the car as the session went on. I'm gonna have to give them a 3 out of 3 with that one. You can see that I did gain quite a lot of time from the very first lap I did even before the session to the very first laps that I did in the session. You can see that there was a difference there, and even within the session you can see there was just a lot more confidence building up as time went on. And then the final lap that I did after the session gained a lot of time overall. So yeah, definitely a 3 out of 3 in terms of that. So far 3 out of 9 points, which is very, very good. Now moving on to the next one, tips. Now there was a few tips that he did give me that I just had no idea of beforehand. That, for example, the second traction control, didn't even know that was really a thing. I never really noticed that there was 2 different settings for traction control. For example, the way that you manipulate the car over bumps, didn't know that either. So because there was a few different things that he did tell me that I didn't know beforehand, I'd have to give them again a 3 out of 3. So far a 6 out of 6 when it comes to coaching and how valuable it can be. Now the last one, probably the weakest point in this particular incident. Not necessarily the case with any coaching service out there, but mainly just with this one that I've experienced so far, and that is the amount of detail that was actually given throughout the whole session. So yeah, we only got, I believe, hot laps. So we mainly just looked over my hot laps, and then he did have a hot lap of his own, and we did look over that. And you know, I've probably put it somewhere in the video, maybe towards the beginning, his own hot lap that we're able to sort of take a look at and analyze. However, there was no telemetry data, nothing that I could really compare. That's really concrete and in your face that you guys can actually visually see in the video. So because of that, I can't really give them a 3 in that case. There was a little bit of detail that went into, however, not a whole lot. So I'd probably give them maybe a 1.5 overall in terms of the level of detail that they gave you throughout the session, which means the final score is actually still a pretty solid 7.5 out of 9. Now, obviously, this was only a single session of coaching, and it's not like it's turned me from a complete noob at ACC to being able to battle with esports drivers on that sim. So, you know, in order for me to actually get up to that level, I would probably need, you know, way more sessions than, you know, just a single one. And a lot of you guys are probably gonna need more sessions than just a single one to really elevate your gameplay as well. So yeah, I say overall that coaching is definitely valuable. However, obviously it still does cost that money. So what I've done is I have partnered with SRC for this video, and we're going to be giving a 20% discount for the next couple of weeks if you use the code BushiAntz at Sim Racing Center for ACC coaching. So if you play ACC, if you want to just, you know, have a go at the coaching, see if there's anything that you can use from that session to gain time and become quicker at that game, make sure to go to the link in the description and use that code during the checkout for an extra 20% off the coaching session. Final comments of this video: is coaching valuable for sim racers? 100% yes. It doesn't matter whether you're a beginner or whether you're a high-level racer who's been, you know, driving on any particular sim for years. There's always places where you can improve, and having someone analyze those laps so that they can tell you directly where you can improve is always going to be valuable, even if you can shave off a couple attempts. If that couple attempts was the difference between you starting in P7 and starting on pole, then yes, sim racing, getting coaching for sim racing is valuable. So yeah, I hope you guys did enjoy this video. Make sure to smash the like button if you want to see anything like this in the future, and I'll catch you guys in my next video.